Hey, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Everybody Eats. My name is Abby, and today we are going to be looking at the final movie in David Gorden Green's Halloween trilogy, Halloween Ends. David Gorden Green's Halloween trilogy finally comes to a close with Halloween Ends, the boldest entry yet, and the only one that attempts to push the boundaries as a legacy sequel. The writing itself and overall direction end up hindering the actual project itself, feeling as if it gets lost within its own exploration of trauma. Yet, though the film ends up tripping over itself, I found myself entranced in Blumhouse taking such a divergent risk in a 40-year-old franchise. The finished product feels like somewhat of a mixed bag, much like the trilogy itself, but it's one that at its best revels in having a unique voice instead of retreading old ground. Halloween 2018 played the legacy sequel hand straight and is still beloved for it. Kills acts as a greatest hits montage for Michael Myers, and save a solid kill or two, adds nothing really to the franchise, with a half-baked ideology on mob mentality. Ends throws everything out the window and aims to be the legacy sequel Halloween 2018 didn't have the guts or means to be. And it almost works. The film opens on Halloween night 2019, exactly a year after the previous film. The entire town of Haddonfield has been in an ever-growing disarray since the disappearance of Michael Myers. Corey Cunningham, played by Rohan Campbell, is babysitting a young boy named Jeremy, whose mother has hinted at his disruptive behavior. As the night comes to a close and Jeremy's parents come back, they witness Corey accidentally knock Jeremy off a staircase and inadvertently kill him. Corey is charged with manslaughter, but he is eventually tried and released, though the town shifts their hatred of Michael Myers onto him. 4 years later, Corey still feels the contempt of Haddonfield when a group of 4 teenagers try to bully him outside a liquor store. Laurie Strode, played by the Jamie Lee Curtis, sees the commotion, clears away the teenagers, and takes Corey to the hospital her granddaughter Allison, played by Andy Matichak, works at, hoping to set the two of them up. As their romance blooms, so does the town's resentment, causing Corey to be pushed to the edge and make a promise to burn Haddonfield down. Laurie sees this shift in Corey as if he has the eyes of Michael Myers, hammering down the concept of trauma's poisonous effect. Laurie has attempted to move on for 4 years, finally settling down into a home that's not booby-trapped to oblivion with her granddaughter. So as Corey comes crashing down into their lives, Laurie must protect the last of her family and fight off not one, but 2 vessels of pure evil. The film takes a bold risk with not centering this final chapter around Laurie and Michael as a formal protagonist and antagonist. Corey represents the worst in society, using the grief of others and putting it onto those who may not deserve it, creating an entirely new monster in the process. Corey, in turn, ends up serving as a tragic hero of sorts, infected by the poison of generational grief, proving that evil truly can spread beyond any boundaries, almost being predatory in nature, as if anyone could be a snap away from letting all hell break loose. Comparisons to Joker, and funnily enough, American Vandal Season 1, are wholeheartedly valid here. It's a film in many ways I'm not sure quite what to think about. As much as I love its trajectory, it deeply fails in actually executing it. Green's direction and pacing is all over the place, not letting his film linger in what it truly wants to be, with the final battle of a 40-year-old rivalry just looming around the corner. Campbell plays his role well, and I wish we saw his descent into madness a bit more clearly. Having him suddenly snap after his initial encounter with Michael isn't quite as effective as it wants to be. Halloween Ends jumps around this notion of our societal obsession with trauma, but it doesn't quite dive into it. Corey's character would have been the perfect way to do this. Instead, his mannerisms and personality shifts in order to serve the structured plot other than his actual character, which just leaves the film feeling muddled. There is, however, a murderous sequence in a junkyard that contains some of the most exciting moments in this entire franchise, almost convincing enough for me to want this series to go further into the rabbit hole, which it hopefully will, because I'd rather take the batshit crazy ones than the basic ones any day of the week. Evil doesn't die, it changes shape, Laurie writes in her memoir, a fascinating way to end this trilogy off on a high note. It broadens Halloween into a story that actually becomes about survivors. In many ways, Halloween Ends does what Scream 2022 promised to do, which is actually respond to the thesis of its respective franchise. And oddly enough, they were both marketed in such a contrasting manner. This final film in this odd little trilogy is my favorite one solely due to the direction it decides to take. And it ends up becoming the most engaging one because of it. Though due to franchise trappings or some other reasons, the film isn't quite able to accomplish what it sets out to do, but I respect the hell out of it for trying. See you next time, Michael. So yeah, I'm gonna have to give Halloween Ends a 2.5 out of 5. I know I said it's my favorite one in this trilogy, but to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of this trilogy in the first place. I thought 2018 was a little basic, but it was okay. Kills, I was not a fan of, but I also think it just gets way too much hate. And as for Ends, I just appreciate it for what it's trying to do. I wish it took it a step further because it is just a couple more drafts away from greatness. And the ending just feels like it kind of rushed everything along, and it kind of turns back into that mediocrity that the Halloween franchise has become known as. Anyways, they're probably gonna reboot this again in another 5 to 10 years, so I'm open to seeing more takes on Michael. At this point, he's just like another supervillain. He's got that livability and type of lore where anyone can just play around with. So fuck it, bring back the cults, bring back everything. So yeah, stay tuned to Everybody Eats. My name is Abi. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. We have a ton more content on the way, so make sure to stay tuned.